jurisdiction cannot be proven unless status is established. You have not established status. And so if you cannot do that, I challenge the jurisdiction. And if jurisdiction cannot be proven, I move to dismiss this case.
So I know a lot of y'all have been wondering what happens when one of these soft idiots tries their nonsense in court. Well, I got one for you. This judge is nowhere near as hardcore as I'd like for her to be. She lets him talk, even lets him interrupt her a couple of times, but she totally dismisses everything he has to say. So let's check it out.
Go ahead and have a seat, please. His rights at arraignment.
My honor. So for the record, I've made this special visitation under duress pertaining to the matters of Jonathan Troy, Faifu Leaso Maliatoa Schuster. For I am beneficiary, I am sovereign, I am man. The flesh lives, the blood flows.
And the cuffs click.
I am a non-U.S. citizen, American national. I am sui juris imperfecta persona. I reserve all rights. I do not understand the status. And so I ask you, ma'am, what is your name? What is your nationality? And what is your status?
I'm Judge Grant. I am a citizen and I'm the judge in this court. You are here subject to appropriate jurisdiction. So you are here for an arraignment. You've been charged with a crime. Today, you will be asked to enter a plea.
Ma'am, I object because a citizen cannot sit a bench. Ma'am.
So you want a foreigner to? Are they allowed to speak English?
So I'm going to go through the information. It looks like you have been charged with driving with a suspended license, driving without a required ignition interlock device, refusal to comply, not having proper registration on the vehicle, expired over 2 months. And then there was also a driving violation. Wheels were off the roadway.
I am utterly shocked that this guy has a suspended license. It's almost like that's a prerequisite to get into this stupidity.
Last two are infractions. So,
ma'am, jurisdiction cannot be proven unless status is established. You have not established status. And so if you cannot do that, I challenge the jurisdiction. And if jurisdiction cannot be proven, I move to dismiss this case with prejudice.
That would be denied. So I am going to, at this time, review for probable cause.
Object. Again, I challenge the jurisdiction. And jurisdiction must be proven.
It's not going to happen today.
Jurisdiction must be proven.
To hear the charges, and I will be reviewing for probable cause, and then we'll make a determination as to whether or not you will remain in custody. And I will hear from the prosecutor as to that.
And if you violate my rights even further, ma'am, as well as the officer and the sergeant that violated my rights.
How dare they pull me over and arrest me for breaking all those laws? I don't consent.
Who are also going to be getting sued. It would just add to that. And I don't think that you need to go that route.
While I review this incident report. All right, I do find probable cause with the charges. I will be entering not guilty, please.
Ma'am, you cannot practice law from the bench. I object.
Noted.
You cannot enter a plea for somebody.
So are you saying you want to plead guilty? Or you want to plead not guilty? He's trying to do you a favor. If you're not going to plead guilty, then you're pleading not guilty. That's how that works.
That is, practicing bench from the law.
Unless you want to enter a plea of guilty, today there'll be a plea of not guilty. I understand you are objecting.
Ma'am, I object. I challenge the jurisdiction. Jurisdiction has not been proven. Status has not been proven or established. And once again, you haven't even established, your nationality or your status. I am a non-U.S. citizen, American national by way of America Samoa.
You still have to follow American laws and the laws of the state that you're in when you're in that state. That happens to all non-citizens.
I reserve all my rights.
Is this something that we need to consider a competency evaluation for?
That's great. I love it.
We may need to consider ordering ability to proceed, but it looks like you have a driver's license that recently expired.
To question my competency because I'm establishing status and asking you to prove jurisdiction is outrageous.
Seems pretty normal. I mean, you're obviously insane and extremely gullible to think that any of this will ever work. You probably even paid money for this.
And so, again, if jurisdiction cannot be proven, I move to dismiss this with prejudice based on the grounds that you cannot prove jurisdiction.
All right, I've reviewed this. You were driving in the city of Lake Forest Park. You were violating
Again,
laws.
I was not driving. Again, I have rights.
You were behind.
And my rights were violated. My rights were violated. My right to travel freely unencumbered was violated. There was no emergency in which the officer needed to put on his red and blue lights. And so, again, if status cannot be set, jurisdiction cannot be proven, I move to dismiss this matter with prejudice.
That's denied. So you've made your record. Right now, I'm going to directly appoint counsel from the bench. Ms. McDonald.
Again, I am sui juris in propria persona. I stand on my 2 feet. I'm in my proper person. And so I reserve all my rights.
I understand that, and I've acknowledged that. I'm not dismissing your case today. I'm going to hear from Ms. McDonald as to the city's position on release.
Yes, Your Honor, I am going to be asking that the bail remain the same. It looks like it's currently set at $2,000. I do have some concern regarding his willingness and ability to reappear if he was released on his own recognizance, as well as concerned about community safety and risk of reoffending, given his temperament in the court today.
And Your Honor, Mr. Schuster would ask the court to release him on his own recognizance. These are not violent offenses. I don't see that he has any convictions for violent offenses.
Yeah, but he doesn't even recognize the authority of the court. So why would he show up for another hearing? Makes no sense.
There's an assault from 2021 that was dismissed. He may have a view of the law that is different than the city's, but that in itself does not indicate that he won't come to court or that he would in any way try to subvert court proceedings. So we'd ask the court to release him on standard conditions.
Well, the court can consider whether or not Mr. Schuster is likely to reappear for future court hearings. What I hear from him today is that he completely objects to this court having any jurisdiction. I don't have a good faith basis that Mr. Schuster will return if I were to release him. I do see that he has a prior conviction for DUI. He's on a deferred prosecution at this time.
The Constitution says that I can drive just as drunk as I want.
In Seattle Municipal Court, he's not complying with conditions if he's driving without a license and driving without a required ignition interlock device. Also, indication that Mr. Schuster will not abide the court's orders to appear on his promise. I want to look at the Seattle municipal case and see when he's next scheduled to appear.
Like you had mentioned too, in 2021, same situation, or not same situation, a situation occurred in which they tried to charge me.
Because I was driving drunk without a license?
Didn't have jurisdiction. It was dismissed.
If it was dismissed, that's not why.
And again, I don't want any charges against me because I do have the deferral, which would obviously violate that deferral. And so
maybe stop breaking the law?
I will make any visitations, special visitations to the court to handle any matters pertaining to Jonathan Troy Faifale, Maliatoa Schuster. I'm a man, I'm free, and I want it to stay that way.
You're not free. You're in a jumpsuit and cuffs, idiot.
I do see it looks like he's got at least 3 prior warrants. He has 2 priors out of Benton County, 1 out of Lower Kittitas.
Which have all
The
been cleared up.
previous offense history.
And throughout this process of going to courts, I've had to learn a lot. And so I know it's no game to just not show and make visitations. That's not what I want to do. And again, jurisdiction does need to be proven, whether it's today or another date. And if you want to violate my rights even further by not releasing me on my own recognizance,
That's not violating your rights. That's upholding the rights of everybody else on the road.
ma'am, was it Jennifer Grant? Then, like I had mentioned earlier, you, along with the officer and sergeant, who are already going to be getting sued, I mean, there's no need to add you as well, especially when
That sounds an awful lot like trying to threaten a judge.
you know the law.
I
I
do
don't
not.
see another. I don't see another date set until February 12th of 2025 in the Seattle.
In Seattle Municipal Court.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Schuster, I have to do what I believe is appropriate in this case, and that is to set bail. And any threats to sue me or to take any action against me, I can't be swayed by that. So
It's
you
not a
can do
threat. It's just what it is.
And
Because my
absolutely,
rights
you can-
have been violated,
you can
and
do
if my
what you
rights
need
are going to
do,
be
but I'm
furthermore
gonna set
violated,
bail at $2,000. I do not believe that you will respond to the court's order to come back. I do base that upon the conduct in this case as well as the prior FTA history. So bail will be $2,000. If you're able to post bail, you are to return for your next court date. You are to have no criminal law violations. You're not to drive unless you have a valid license and insurance. And
when are you setting that court date,
device
miss?
is required by the Department of Licensing. You will be represented because I'm going to assign counsel.
I am sui juris in propria persona. I present myself. I don't need to be represented.
I was waiting on him to get into the semantics about definitions of words. He thinks represent means to present again. People are so damn stupid.
By anybody. I stand on my own 2 feet.
These are criminal charges that have significant consequences for you. So it's in your best interest to have counsel.
Again, I
assist
stand
you.
on my own 2 feet. I do not need to be represented by anybody. I present myself, sui juris in propria persona.
If you want to be your own counsel, you'll have to go through a full colloquy and waive all your rights to have representation. It's your constitutional right.
I do not accept being represented by anybody. Again, I present myself. I am beneficiary. I am sovereign. I am an American national, a non-US citizen American national by way of America Samoa, like I had mentioned earlier. I reserve my rights, and I do not need to be represented by anybody.
If you reserve your right, then you'll reserve your right to counsel, right?
All right. The time for trial expiration is 8/9/24.
Again, if you are practicing law from the bench and putting a plea in for me, I object to that. You cannot practice law from the bench.
Again, I wouldn't be criticizing the judge to her face and then go and beg her to let you out of jail. That's not how that works.
Next court date will be,
We want to try for next Wednesday or even the week after that.
well, next Wednesday's a holiday, so the 18th, which is pretty full. So I was going to set this on June 24th. That's 2 weeks out.
So for the record, you have not established status. You have not proven jurisdiction, and you're denying my rights. Is that correct?
So for the record, you've said that at least 7 times. She gets it. It's stupid. She's ignoring it.
Correct?
I don't know what you think would establish my status, but I do have status to sit in this court.
You are a
and hear
U.S.
these
citizen. A U.S. citizen cannot sit a bench.
Sign for your next court date.
I sit on benches all the time. I like to go for walks, but Fat Boy gets tired, so I got to take a little rest.
You're asking me to sign something that you pleaded for me. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I'm giving you notice of the conditions that I have set as well as bail.
You said,
I'm
yes,
noting
you
that I
pleaded for
found
me.
Probable cause. If you are able to post that bail and get out of custody, those are my expectations that you will come back on that court date and that you will abide by the conditions that I have imposed. Those are being ordered today. So that is what's happening today. And we are giving you that notice. You can refuse to sign that notice, and we'll note that you were provided a copy in writing and that you refused to sign.
If he refuses to sign, that means he refuses to abide by the conditions of his release, so he shouldn't be released.
I do not understand.
Which part of it do you not understand that you have a
I
piece
do
of
not
paper
understand how
with
you can
the
practice
document?
law from the bench.
I'm the judge and I am setting the conditions.
But you also entered a plea for me, correct?
What we're doing at arraignment is the plea is being entered. You're not pleading guilty, so on your behalf, I'm entering a not guilty plea.
So, correct, you
cannot-
are pleading for me,
There are
correct?
two pleas.
And if you
not
plead
guilty
for me,
or
you're
guilty.
practicing law from the bench. You cannot practice law from the bench, so I object. That you're
These people are so damn stupid. I hope to find footage of his next hearing because this guy is going to be a laugh riot the entire time. That's all I got for this one. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Catch you on the next one.